Welcome into Nets Pod with Sarah Kustok, presented by Ticketmaster. I'm Sarah Kustok, and I don't know what to tell you about this next guest. Normally when I introduce guests, I say, I'm so thrilled to have you. This is one of my favorite people.
It's going to be your best performing episode.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have Richard Jefferson.
Hi, Nets family. I love you guys. You guys are my favorite.
You really are. In all sincerity, thank you for your time, your home, welcoming us in here in this beautiful place that we got to see.
The road trip in studios. Yeah, we're great.
You got to see a little insight into your life. But more than anything, we just appreciate you. And 17-year NBA career.
Yes.
But I want you to take us back. We get to see your boys. You're an amazing father. You're an amazing friend. You're one of the dearest. What was this Rich like when he was little Rich? Because we've been waiting on you to mature, to grow up.
Okay, this is what I would say. I'm the youngest of three boys. So if we're going to have that moment, like I'm the youngest of three boys. I have a brother who's 2 years older, 7 years older. My mom worked very, very hard. But mom and stepdad both worked two jobs. So my three brothers, I was the baby boy. So I'm the one always starting stuff, messing with people. That was just always my energy. That was the fun thing. The sarcasm, I think that kind of started as I got older, more of like a protectiveness, if you will, because I was so chill, because I was so whatever, people would also like always mess with me. But that's really who I am. I'm really just chill, fun, supportive.
It's amazing to think about you coming in your first couple years going to the finals. Like what was that like for you, understanding that you reached this pinnacle of making the NBA, and then that's your introduction to the league?
I'm an arrogant person, right? From a confidence standpoint, Aaron is smiling again. I went to the national championship game at Arizona, and then the next year I went to two finals. So I was like, this is just what I do. It doesn't matter if I was a role player coming off the bench. They were like, one of the things I remember with the Nets is that they had no success. They had no success ever. They had ABA success. They had a little bit, but never like a genuine team. And so I remember getting there and there was like, well, no Nets team ever did. It's like, well, I was never on the team. Mind you, I had J Kidd and Kenyon behind me. So I was the little brother that was out front talking trash, knowing I had big brothers behind me. So when you say like, what was it like to come in? I was like, yeah, we gonna beat your tail. Because of them, right? So I always had like a natural fun, but it was fun because I came from a team environment at Arizona. I was always taught winning is the most important thing. And then I get to the Nets and we got to change the franchise. Led by Jason Kidd, he was the guy, but it was kind of like follow my lead. And my job was to be a soldier in following his lead. And I took a lot of pride in that.
Did you do that? Because you don't seem like you follow rules, people stay in line very well.
I do follow. I actually do follow orders, but you have to be a little crazy in this league. You have to be a little bit different to like be 21 years old and playing in the finals, to be 22 years old and starting in the finals. Your level of focus and just mindset. So yeah, did I follow orders? Yes. Was I also a person that was willing to push boundaries and like push myself? 100%.
Those teams, J Kidd
is my basketball god. He truly is. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. I met Jason Kidd at like a camp when I was like a senior. There were some guys playing. He was doing the Jason Kidd basketball camp. He was playing for the Suns. So there were some pros playing at the school not far away from me. So I was a player at the time. So they invited me over. So I got to meet Jason Kidd when I was a senior, and he dropped me off at home right after. He literally dropped me off after his camp. He dropped me off. He had this big yellow Hummer. So he dropped me off, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, this is Jason Kidd. But I was like an athlete. I was a runner, so I would watch Magic Johnson. I was born in LA. Magic Johnson was my favorite player. Jason Kidd gets dropped off in Phoenix. I'm watching the Suns. They're huge. I get to meet Jason Kidd, and I met Channing Frye at that same basketball camp. He was 14. I was 17. I say all that to say is I go through college, and then all of a sudden I get drafted by the Rockets, traded to the Nets. And I'm like, damn, the Nets. And the next day we have a trade to announce. Stephon Marbury and Jason Kidd have just been traded. I promise you, I almost wrecked my car. It's driving on the highway. I was like, either I'm going to get to play at home or I'm going to get to play with Jason Kidd. And that was no lie. I owe everything to him. The teaching of the game. Like, people talk about me being, like, joking about me being a ref. That's because when I was a rookie, Jason Kidd was like, hey, come meet the refs, talk to them. They're good people, get to know them. So so as a rookie, hi, what's your name? I'm Richard. So and Jay Kidd would be like, hey, if my rookie gets out of line, let me know. These are veteran things. And so from that space, it was like building a relationship with the referees and just the league. And it was just everything that I learned in basketball, I learned from Jay Kidd.
What are the things now? You talked about being young, and we see a lot of young guys on this Nets team, young guys in the league. For you, what were some of those most pivotal things that you look at now in terms of development, in terms of becoming a pro, that you think are the most important?
Well, I think just having veterans around you. I was 21 when I got drafted, and I was the youngest guy on the team. And then I was the youngest guy on the team till like my third year. So, but I'm 22, 23. And so from that standpoint, you're looking at...
Who else was your teammates? Who else was vets that you really looked
Lucius
up?
Harris, Aaron Williams. Like, these were guys that taught you how to be a man. It wasn't just like these guys were 28. They had kids. They had families. So they would teach you how to show up, how to do things. Because you're learning. I'm 21 and I'm around 21-year-olds in college. Now I'm around grown men that are showing you how to survive in this league. So the value from just experience, how to deal with media, how to deal with people, how to deal with all of the things that come with, oh, your family's going to ask you, young fella, those are the things that having those guys around. Now you get these teams and everyone is 25 and under. And you're like, there's so much value lost in that.
When did you learn how to deal with the media?
Aaron, when did I learn how to deal with the media?
It was last year.
I don't think I ever learned how to deal with the media, if we're being really, really honest. No, when you get into New York, I'll take you back to Derek Jeter. You learn in the New York media, you can't talk, you can't say anything. There's New York Post, there's the Daily News, there's New York Times, there's all these things. So you learn that you have to be very calculated, very, sure. Now, was I a person that pushed the boundaries in that space? Yes, but I think if you were a Nets fan and you followed that era, I wasn't saying crazy stuff. Was I saying crazy stuff? Yes, but I wasn't saying crazy stuff. I wasn't given bulletin board material. I was never criticizing my teammates or my coach. That was not the crazy stuff, I would say.
What were your favorite, like, you think back of those times, whether it's games, whether it's practices, what are the things that stand out most?
Just the bus. One of my favorite Nets memories of all time is we clinched, and I think we were in Orlando. We clinched, and we were all in the hallway. Like, what do we do? Like we were a team that no one ever knew that would get here. We get to the end of the season. We clinched number 1 seed. There's like 3 or 4 games left. And we know the next game we're going to start resting guys. But we have like an off day. So we're like, should we go out? What do we do? And it was like to watch all of the guys and we were just kind of in the hallway talking. There's no text messages. There's no any of that stuff. So we're just kind of like, we're all shocked. And it's just like the camaraderie is what you miss. Yes, the games, the competition, but the buses, the excitements. I remember we won 12 games in a row. We lost a game, and then we were driving to Chicago, and everybody was like, well, let's all go out. And those are the moments that, like, as a 25-year-old, as a 28-year-old, you look back at 45, and you're like, those really were, like, the best times.
How do you feel like things have changed in the league? You're around it a lot now. What's different now?
I think when you got to the league, there was more of, I just want to prove I belong and I want to like show I belong. Now it's like, how long can I belong? Right? So guys, like, they don't want to push their bodies too far. If there's this, the way they're managing players and their time and their games, where before it was like, if you didn't play 70 games, you weren't considered a durable player, and that was going to affect you in your contract. That was a real thing. So just showing up, who could put their bodies together, who could depend. I think that's what's changed. I think there's a management more style of players that's different.
I mean, think about, though, you're talking about someone else you played, LeBron, and winning a title with him, and through the course, I mean, your career is a special one, given how much success you had, all the players you played with, the way in which you were adaptable, given what teams you were on. But to think about capping off towards the end, to have that moment,
yeah.
How do you frame that?
I frame it as in, like, I'm a basketball nerd. I'm a basketball fan. I was watching games by myself at 14, 15, watching Marv Albert and NBC and the triple headers and I was that kid that was glued to the TV on Saturdays and Sundays at night. That was my weekend. So I was such a nerd. So like for me, understanding Michael Jordan and then knowing LeBron, being in the same area, but then watching him from up close and being his teammate and seeing the amount of time and energy and pressure that was on him consistently, there's just a tremendous amount of respect. So the basketball nerd in me is like, it's really cool to watch the greatest or one of the greatest of all time work his craft and be a part in contributing to, you know, being on the same team and contributing towards the same goal. The basketball nerd kid in me, that is like my dream.
Devin Harris was on the pod.
Oh, good.
He spoke very highly of you.
Those are all lies.
Yeah.
Don't believe a word he says.
I would agree with that. What's the dynamic of that now? And even thinking about through the course of being teammates with guys, still seeing them, the friendships that you have built, how does that continue to like grow and flourish and even just being around people now, knowing that you've had so many of those shared experiences?
Well, I think I think there was a Nets era that was very similar to a college experience. So like my best friends in college, even if you aren't close, like Gilbert and I or Luke Walton and myself, there's so many guys that Jason Terry, that we went to the same university. So we have a fraternity. There's a Nets fraternity. And I remember Jason Kidd got traded for Devin Harris. And then Devin got there and he was a little bit younger. And I got to be like, hey, this is who you can hang out with. This is who you can't hang out with. This is what the way that goes. Here's the schedule. Do you need some help? And so like Devin and I, you know, connected and had a really good bond. But like for me, I was really happy for all the success he had, but also just that friendship, you know, my friendship with Jason Collins. He's one of my closest friends. Brian Scalabrine was on our team for like 3 years. And like, I still look at him as my draft mate, my brother. I've loved all of his success. So like, that's the part is there was that generation of Nets that there was a unique core and kind of a brotherhood that kind of still maintains.
How do you describe Vince Carter?
Vince is the legend. Like, again, people don't understand the mindsets of athletes. Vince came to us and he was banged up. He was hurt. He was just, you know, really trying to get out of the Toronto. And he showed up and it was like, bro, I got you. J-Kid got you. You go be you. And he was him. Like, I'll never forget Jason Collins. I was on a bit of a tear. And because Jason Kidd was hurt to start the season. So I was on a tear. And Jason Collins finally gave me his approval. He's like, okay, you're playing pretty good. So then we trade for Vince, and Jason Collins was hurt, but we trade for Vince. And like about a month or two into Vince, he goes, hey, you were pretty good, but he's different. I'm like, I know, right? I'm like, yo, he's really different. So it was like me and Vince did a Nike commercial years before that. And then obviously we're on the same team. And like, Vince was, as an athlete, as a dunker, a person that evolved his game. Like, he was that guy that you looked up to. If you wanted to play with somebody, you wanted to play with Magic, J-Kidd, Steve Nash. If you looked up as like who was a dominant athlete, it was the Kobe, the Vinces, the T-Max, you know. So to get to play with him and to learn from him, like, it was amazing.
Do you miss playing?
I tell this people all the time. I don't miss being 30 to 38 when you're working hours and hours a day to like keep your body together to go compete. I miss the 21 to 29 where like your body is as strong as it can be. You're playing, you're doing, yes. But ultimately, I think I miss the camaraderie, the brotherhood, being around like-minded people. That's the part that I probably miss the most.
You're doing incredible work in the broadcast world.
Allegedly.
You've got a show that you named after yourself, The Richard Show. Other podcasts. You call the NBA Finals. Like, for as much as we joke and we give you a hard time, and you are kind of...
Oh, yeah, I'm easy target.
But I always say this, like, when you first came to Nets on Yes, I was so... Because we kind of knew each other.
Yeah,
I covered
yes.
you a little when you were playing, but barely. You were one of the greatest teammates from
you.
jump.
Thank
You
you.
truly were. You and we see so many people get into this profession that have knowledge, have background, have experience. You poured yourself into the work.
Thank you.
Poured yourself into the work. You wanted to learn everything. You want to critique. You want to control. Like you, it was very clear to see why you were so successful as a player, because that's exactly how you approached broadcasting. And I was blown away. And I don't think people truly, you make jokes and you make fun of yourself, but I don't think people understand just how seriously you take, one, your craft of this, and two, the people around you and how you want to make others better and just be a part of the team. And so I say that to say, like, the way that in which you have grown in this
Thank you.
listening to you call it, I was so proud because I felt like,
I learned. I promise you, and I told you this. I was like, hey, sitting next to you helped prepared me for those moments, and I will always be appreciative of the Nets and you, and like I'm like, our friendship is like, we want to make each other better, and then
But what was it like getting into broadcasting and decide? Did you even know that that's what you were gonna do?
I did, because I didn't want to coach. It's too much intensity. I will say, what is it like getting into broadcasting?
You never wanted to coach?
No, God, no, heck no. That's too much work. I'll tell you what. There was a person that I've known like my entire NBA career, and when I got into broadcasting, I saw him like a year or two into broadcasting, and he was like, hey, you're doing a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie, I took the under. My broadcast, you know who that person was? It was Aaron Harris right there. He knows who. He said it to me. He goes, Rich, you're doing a pretty good job. And he only said that because he knows me. That's how he was like, honestly, you've done a really good job, Rich. I might have taken the under on your broadcast career, but I've been impressed. But that was the fun thing, is that Aaron's also the same person that saw me shooting every single day, before practice, after practice, all the years. There was never a day that before practice or after practice I didn't shoot, even when I wasn't making them. So I think Aaron saw, and I say this, I think a lot of people saw that I was still goofy and crazy on the court, but the work was there, the preparation, the effort, the want was there, but I enjoyed having fun. And I tried to bring that to broadcasting, and I was lucky to have teammates like you and Ian and Ryan and so many great people that allowed me to be super locked in, but also to have fun.
What's been the hardest part?
The travel, being away from my kids. That's been the hardest part. Like, the hardest part, from the space of like catching red-eye flights to stay with them, to catch 6 a.m. flights back to go to a soccer game. That's the part that's like, sometimes you get a little tired.
What if you could feel every pass, every shot, every moment of the game? One Court devices help fans who are blind or low vision follow live NBA action through trackable vibrations and audio commentary. Ticketmaster has teamed up with One Court to provide devices at Brooklyn Nets games at Barclays Center. When you're coming to the game, devices can be found at Guest Services, located just outside Section 12 on the main concourse.
What do you think when you look at, and even now, but players, but we get so used to watching games, there's so many games on, but what do you think people don't see about the life of NBA players, or just the challenges that go along with it? You talk about shooting and shooting every day, and you're playing and not playing. Like, looking now and just the development of players, or even young players in the league, like this Nets team, like, what are some of those things behind the curtain that are the biggest hurdles to continuing to find success in this league?
Players have the hardest time than they've ever had with social media, with podcasts, and now gambling. I think those moments, like those things, have added so much more pressure. You have people going into the games that want to hit a parlay, or you're going into a space where people are like, they're mad at you because you missed it. There are people that go into it from a podcast standpoint, so they're looking at things. Should they trade this person, and a clip goes viral? So players don't just, and then social media. So there's so many different avenues, I think, to affect players mentally and emotionally, that before it was like, as long as you didn't read the paper, as long as you didn't turn on SportsCenter, you were going to be fine. It's not that way anymore. They're just inundated with information and criticism or praise, which can be equally as bad. So a lot of these things, I think, go into, and that's why mental health is such a different thing, because it's a real thing. Players in the 80s, 90s, that's why LeBron is the most covered athlete in the history of American sports, because of the generation in which he grew up in. So I think that part, in offering some of these younger players more grace, giving them more time. I wish they spent more time developing mentally and emotionally in college, right? But it's like the way the system is, it doesn't. So we're giving 19-year-olds millions of dollars, hyper criticism, and then seeing if they can survive. And that in any field is difficult. If you're 21 and you have an education, if you've been through some moments, you lost a big game at UCLA where you underperformed and you handled some criticism, it's easier to go there your next year with a certain level of intensity. And I don't think today's generation of athletes have that.
That's very insightful and very.
See, people
Very
forget,
serious.
like I'm goofy but then I give
You
those
got
answers.
a lot
I mess
with
people up.
that being said, we got a couple more things. But this Nets organization, where things are at, where this team is at, the rebuild year, we know how much you care about you being a part of the Nets family. What have you seen through the course of the season in them, and hopes for them and the steps that they're going to take in the future?
Like I'm going to start one with we have an outstanding coach. We have an outstanding coach that I believe, there's certain times. This is how teams got Wemby. This is how teams got LeBron. Like you go through those tough times. You trade players to get assets, and you go with a young team. And you look at Oklahoma City. This is how they got Chet. If you are going to build, this is the way to build, and it's hard to do that. But for people that truly care about the organization and Brooklyn and the Nets and what I think it means to the community, I think this is part of the process. So. I'm very supportive of it when I look at how my first year with the Nets had the 7th pick in the draft. You only get the 7th pick in the draft if you're struggling. But the 7th pick turned into 13, 18, and 22. And then that was myself. That was Jason Collins. That was Brandon Armstrong. That was Brian Scalabrine. You trade for Jason Kidd. All of a sudden, your team is off and running for the next 8 years. So this is part of the process. But I do believe that we have the right people in place to guide us through this difficult time, which is a part of it, into that next space.
You were with Jordi in Denver?
I was with Jordi and in Cleveland. He's a champion, 3-1.
What have you seen out of him as a head coach, knowing him for as long as you did?
I think X's and O's with coaches, I think when you get to a certain level, that becomes very important. I think when you're where the Nets team is, I think people that are invested in the humans in which they're coaching. Because I don't care what you say. If you're losing 10 games, if you're losing 50, 60, like you have to be investing into the emotional space of these young men, because eventually you have to come out of it and be like, hey, I know we lost 50 games last year. This year we're going to be better. Have I emotionally equipped you for that journey up? And I think Jordi is such an amazing human being, family man. I think there's so many positive things about him, right? You can't judge a person on X's and O's when you don't have the talent, right? But I judge a person on how do they connect with the team, how do they connect with people, because being a head coach in this league is not just about X's and O's. It's like, can you manage people and personalities and energies over the course of 8-9 months? And I think Jordi is really, really skilled in that space. And then, I think he's the guy that can help build the next generation.
All right, we've had you be too kind and too serious for too long, so it's time now for Hot Ticket, presented by Ticketmaster. Experience your Nets live with Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Brooklyn Nets. All right, so we're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's player one or player two. You're going to pick, and winner stays, and we're going to keep going.
Oh.
Ready?
I like this.
So winner stays on funniest NBA player. Kevin Garnett or Boban?
Oh, Boban.
Boban or Evan Turner?
Oh, Boban.
Boban or LeBron?
Oh, Boban. Bron's funny. That's close. But Boban.
What makes Boban so funny?
Anytime you're willing to miss chicken nuggets just to give the opposing crowd free nuggets, I respect that. That's some shit I would do.
Miss free throws?
He missed some free throws, right? Yeah. And he was in John Wick. Love John Wick. John Wick 2, first of all, love him.
Boban or Shaq?
Shaq is pretty. I'll give it to Shaq.
Okay.
Shaq has been making us laugh for 40 years.
Okay. Shaq or Charles Barkley?
I'm gonna say Shaq. Like in studio, Charles. I'm gonna go with Shaq because he does so many funny random videos and random moments.
Oh, that's right. You're big on social.
Yeah, I wouldn't go
You may
that
be
far.
a dinosaur,
but yeah, I like cracking jokes.
You're with the kids.
Oh, this is where the kids are cracking jokes. This is where we go.
So Shaq. So we're sticking with Shaq.
Yeah, we're sticking with Shaq.
Shaq or Channing Frye?
Oh, Shaq. Channing Frye's up there, but Shaq is easy.
Shaq or Blake Griffin?
Again, Blake Griffin's body of work is not large enough. Blake is funny as hell, though. Blake is funny. Blake is funny as hell. I'll give him. He's a worthy adversary. But I'm going to go with Shaq.
Shaq or Jeff Teague?
Different type of funny. I'm going to go with Shaq.
Jeff Teague's podcast.
Jeff Teague's podcast is outstanding. Those boys are doing a great job.
Shaq or Richard Jefferson?
Oh, no one's funnier than me. Absolutely. Like again, Shaq is outstanding. He is one of the GOATs in sports media, not just basketball. But yeah, no one's funnier than me.
Says Richard.
Says me. Says me 100%.
Show.
I don't think everybody should agree with me. I don't think anybody should agree with me. But that's my opinion.
This has been another edition of Nets Pod with Sarah Kustok, presented by Ticketmaster. Don't forget, you can catch any former episodes anywhere you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the Nets YouTube channel. Until we see you next time, big thanks to Richard Jefferson.
Thank you.